You're listening to the 1 Minute Writing Tip, a podcast that gives you tips on how to overcome writer's block, overwhelm, and self-doubt. Learn how to accomplish your God-given book idea, even if you're a busy mompreneur, confidently publish a bestseller, and use your book as a tool for impact and for purpose. We have a variety of episodes with interviews from best-selling authors in the industry, experts who have tools and tricks to help you succeed, and of course, recommendations from me, your host, Caitlin Silva. You can find even more resources on wewritebooks.com, where you can also take advantage of your complimentary bestseller assessment to get a step-by-step roadmap to accomplish your bestseller and beyond. So let's get into today's episode. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the 1 Minute Writing Tip podcast. I am super excited for today's guest. I'm talking to Natalie Lawson. Natalie is a founding ambassador and certified radiant leader through Girl Power Alliance. She is the co-author and creator of the Rise to Your Purpose devotional podcast and signature program in partnership with her sister, Brandie. When working with Natalie, she helps set up your systems for business, gain clarity around your purpose, and ultimately build your brand message so that you can build a profitable network marketing business as you partner with God and pursue those God-given dreams and operate in that place of rest while creating a kingdom impact. Natalie, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Hey, Caitlin, thanks for having me. I'm excited that we're getting to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. So will you just start off by kind of just talking about your journey with your sister and how you guys got to launching everything and where you are today?
Yeah, so my sister and I always joke like we're might as well have been twins because we've done everything together our whole life, but we're only like a year and a half apart. And we did go into business together, was in the network marketing industry. And it was really into that journey. We were probably with that company at that time around three years in, I want to say. And that's when we really just started feeling a shift of like, okay, first of all, there's a shift happening in the marketplace anyway, of a lot of things turning from old school to new school, doing like home parties and things like that, to transitioning to where like now social media was a thing. And so we knew, one, we really wanted to be able to leverage the online space. And then as believers, we were finding that it was really challenging to go out and find a community and the space for Christian women, specifically too within the network marketing industry. There was a lot of Christian women in business and entrepreneurs and things like that. But it was a little bit different of the business models. And I also, there was a time too where I was just convicted where the Lord had, told me, he's like, if you can talk about your products or your business, you can talk about me. So it really began this journey of what does it look like to truly partner with God in your business and to share your faith. And really also, he just showed me that my mission field was the online marketplace. And so we got together one day and we were hanging out and just kind of sharing some of our, frustrations that we were feeling, but also some of our like dreams and just like our vision of what we had. And it was so cool because we literally, some of the things that we were sharing was like exactly the same. Like we both loved journaling and we had written almost similar things down. So we knew, and we were kind of doing things on our own outside of just like our network marketing business. And so that's when we realized, okay, we have to actually partner together in this way too. And so that's when we started our purpose partner community and our company, Victorious Entrepreneurs Rising. And it really became about creating a place for women who could come together and partner in their faith and their business, and specifically working with those who were in network and affiliate marketing spaces. And it really just kind of organically grew from there, where we were getting connected to women who were coming to us for, how did you do this? Or what do you do about this? And and they really were also looking for that same type of community of where we could talk all about Jesus and our faith, but also what does it look to build your business with biblical principles? And so out of that grew, with us wanting to put in systems and things in place for our team as well, that started and grew our Rise to Your Purpose. And then we had women from other teams and leaders and things also wanting us to help them and their teams and coach. And so really it was kind of one of those things where, yes, we were like, okay, we're going to step into this line of work too, with like coaching and mentoring women, but it also kind of came organically where the Lord was just showing us like, okay, this is what I want you to do. And we kind of just took steps along the way to be obedient in that. And so the Rise to Your Purpose program was developed, and then our Rise to Your Purpose devotional. And the podcast did not come until 2020, because we just felt like, okay, now we do have a little bit more time on our hands, and how can we continue serving people in the marketplace? And at this point, we'd been coaching for about 2.5 years, and we also were connecting with so many incredible women that maybe weren't always for our program or things like that, but we also loved the message that they had. And we're like, we have to like share what they're doing with people, because again, we were all about collaboration. Like, we believe there's no competition in the kingdom. And so that is how, that ended up birthing from itself as well.
Wow, I love that beautiful journey of like kind of doing something, but then all of a sudden God comes in and is like, okay, this is what I want you to be doing with what I've given you, like the gifts and the talents and the opportunities. And I love the way that you guys just stepped with obedience and just followed his leading, and how God has just worked in that. And I think that's so beautiful. And I love that aspect of that journey with the Lord for sure. That journey with the Lord for sure. So so talk to me a little bit more about like how you guys ended up deciding on this devotional and what that process looked like, especially being a co-author with your sister, which is so cool. And just talk to me about what that looked like, and how you guys went about that process.
Yeah. So when we started our program, one of the things we definitely wanted to do was we wanted women to also get into the word, and to really, again, it was all about like knowing him, seeking him first, and partnering with him. And so with the program, it was 8 weeks at the time. And so each week we would drop a new devotional, just to kind of that went along with what they were going to be learning that week within the program. And then the women started asking, like, do we get more? Like, we love these. And so we just kind of continued writing. And, we didn't really put necessarily at the time, there wasn't like it wasn't even a thought of like, oh, we'll make a book out of this, but we thought, well, we'll just keep writing when we feel led or when we get inspired. And, and we really were starting to compile it on like a Google Docs. And then it was probably a year after, like, we'd launched the program a few times, women have been receiving the devotionals. And then that's also when we met Michelle Schaefer, who is the founder of Girl Power Alliance. And she has written two books, and she knew about our devotional. And she was like, you guys should definitely, so she was kind of an inspiration for us of like turning into the book. At this time too, my sister has always loved writing. She's definitely like a great was one of ours for the email marketing and copywriting, because that is just a gift she has too. And so she was also kind of already thinking of the idea of like, what if we made this into a devotional? So when we heard that from Michelle, it was like that confirmation of like, okay, we should move forward with this. And so that's when we kind of put a deadline on ourselves of like, okay, here, let's really think about how we want to structure it, how many days we want it to be, what do we want women to get out of it. And we were just divine connection. We got connected with a publisher and editor, and really just everything started coming together. And then we did a pre-launch, when I think we sold 100 copies just in the pre-launch, or had people signed up on the wait list for that. And we really did everything like organically at the time, kind of not really knowing, other than just using the skill sets that we already knew, but we didn't necessarily work centered, cohesively with like a company or anything like that. Just worked with one guy who was helping us with the editing and publishing, and it just kind of all came together. And and the Lord just brought so much affirmation and confirmation through that of, yes, that's what we were supposed to do. So
yeah, that's really, really cool. And I love how it kind of just grew and kind of led into that, not like because you set out to do that specifically, but just because, okay, this is the next step, and we're going to obey and we're going to follow and all of that. And I love that. So so as you guys went through that process, and you're sharing like your sisters always really loved writing, and you kind of just like pursued it from a place of being inspired, especially because my listeners are often aspiring authors who they've been pursuing something, right? But they've never felt like they actually have reached the end, or what to do with it afterward. So what would be your tips for our listeners who maybe they are like in a similar place, like they've kind of written one inspired, they've kind of dabbled here and there, but they want to start pursuing it more seriously. Like, how can they know when it's done? How can they start pursuing those next steps? What would be your tips for them?
Yeah, well, it's funny because now that I'm connected to you, I'm like, I would say get with Caitlin because she definitely knows what she's doing and how to take women from beginning to end. And I think having that guidance is always so good just to have like a mentor and someone there who can like really kind of just show you the steps. But I tell women like, because people, since people know that we've written a devotional, they'll come to me and they say, I feel like God is like telling me to write this, but I'm not really sure where to start or what to do. And I'm like, well, if you feel called, then just start. Like, so my always thing is just start writing. And if you really do feel like you want to be an aspiring, like you are an aspiring author, like you want to have maybe a best-selling book, then that's also when you've got to get serious about, I believe, having a deadline, like having some things where you're putting yourself and holding yourself accountable. So once we got into like, okay, we really are making this a devotional and we're, we had this plan, we had like an end goal in mind of like, this is when we wanted to launch. And so that helped us to know when we needed to write. And so I would like time block out and schedule like when I was going to write some of my remaining, because we did it out in 30 days. And so we would choose which days we were doing or which sections of the book. And so I would set aside time where I could just focus on the writing to be able to get it finished by that time that we wanted. So I would definitely, but I think that's the biggest thing is sometimes women, I think, overthink or worry about it being perfect. So I would just write. Like we didn't worry about the editing or anything until we finished writing. And then we went back and we, started looking at it and pulling it apart. And so I think that's the biggest thing is kind of like write without what's the word I'm looking
Like
for?
expectations?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, without expectation of what it needs to be, but with, and like you were saying, and like it really was just from a place of inspiration and really feeling like, oh my gosh, I like felt like I got this revelation, so I need to, tie this in somehow. And I think really obviously too, knowing like what is your core concept, like what is that end goal in mind when people finish your book? What do you want them to know or feel or think when they're finished? Maybe what action steps do you want them to take? And so I think kind of having the end in mind is going to help you know too how to like craft your writing, whether it's a book or a devotional or whatever that might be. Kind of gives you a clearer focus.
Hmm. Yeah, so many good golden nuggets there for sure. Like, I agree with you completely. I think it's so important to just focus on getting content out before you worry about like edits or refining, because otherwise you get stuck in that kind of loop-to-loop cycle of constant revisions and you never actually reach the end. So yeah, excellent there. And your other points as well on, making sure that you keep the end in mind and that you have deadlines, like you're holding yourself accountable. Because otherwise it's just so easy to put things off and justify why and let yourself get sucked into distractions and like what if land and just all these other things. And so yeah, that
Exactly.
makes a huge difference for sure. So as you guys are continuing to grow together and just pursue each next thing as it comes, are there any upcoming projects or fun things going on right now that you would like to share and talk about?
Yeah, so a couple of things we have is we are working with, it's called Victorious Systems. So, and this is really us like a combination, but where we're putting, when we talk about how we help women put systems in place. So really also stepping into helping women get their businesses a little bit more automated and knowing how to like working alongside of them, kind of like a done with you to know how to get some things in place for whether it's your website or your email marketing, and some, or maybe some funnels to help make that process of once you're building, as you're building relationships with your clients or with potential people that you're going to work with, but have those things in place that can kind of do the back end for you. And then that way you can really focus on like your giftings and really having those personal conversations with people, or, whatever else, the content, whatever that looks like for your business, and specifically for women in network marketing. It's like we want you to be in that relationship building piece, but if we can help you get some systems in place, then you're able to now have some things running for you when you're, while you're doing the front end part. Now, as you're giving out information, you're not constantly having to like relay the same information over and over and over again and things like that. So we're putting that together. And then we are also working with women specifically within the Girl Power Alliance community that we mentioned earlier. We've really just locked arms with Michelle Schaefer and really combined our brands together because it was just so in alignment with what we were doing and how we were serving women. And so this is an organization that where we collaborate with women from all around the world to develop premier resources for personal and professional leadership development. And so we will be having my sister is also, so it's funny, I kind of do a lot of I'm on the field advisory board, so I work on that end. And then my sister does a lot of, she's now a certified radiant life coach. So we're going to be launching our new program where women can come in and actually go through a 16-week leadership development course, all based on biblical principles, and it's ICF accredited. So that's the International Coaching Federation. And so you will be able to go through, and I just like recommend this to any woman. We both personally have gone through 3 times and then gotten certified. And so we're going to be launching that program here coming up in August. And so we're really excited about that and having this program for women to come through and really it just peels off every layer. And we go through mindset and identity. We go through finances and health and wealth creation, and also obviously developing as leaders and looking at everything from like a Christ-centered lens. So that's going to be a really incredible program for women to be a part of. And just overall, just the community itself is for women who are aspiring to grow as leaders, grow as entrepreneurs. And this is a great place to come and get coaching and courses or certifications to help equip you in your calling. So we're really excited about this project and launching it out even more this year. So
Yeah, that sounds so exciting. And I just love what you're sharing about how it's become this amazing resource for people to be able to like grow and get, leadership training and like develop themselves and like really pursue those goals, but from a Christ-centered, perspective. Because I think that's so important, because if you're not building it on those biblical principles, it's kind of like building a house on sand.
Exactly.
So yeah, I love that. So if our listeners are thinking, wow, this sounds amazing, I'd love to at least, like check out what you're doing and connect or like get the devotional and all those things, how can they do that?
Yeah, the best way would probably you could go to honestly Amazon to get the devotional, and it's just Rise to Your Purpose, and it will pop right up for you. And then if you want to look more at collaborating with us or looking at what we're doing with now Girl Power Alliance and moving forward with that, and then you can go to girlpoweralliance.com/Natalie Lawson, and we kind of have everything under that umbrella there. So those would be 2 great ways to get connected.
Awesome. And what was the name of the devotional again?
It's called Rise to Your Purpose.
Right.
And it's
Okay.
a 30-day devotional for women who are excited about growing in faith and business. And so it breaks down into it's 10-day sections. So it's about helping you to get clear around your identity, to then understand and get aligned in your core values. And then the last 10 days is really focusing on rising up and what that looks like to rise to your purpose. And so we dive into that, and it's really good too about each day we'll have you dive into scripture, and there's reflection pieces in there as well, and places for you to write and journal. So yeah, I think you'll definitely get a lot out of it. And we have in our purpose partner community, you can always jump over there in the Facebook group. We do a 30 days to rise. So if you're looking for additional resources to go with the devotional, then that's a great place to get those. And those are all free inside the group.
Awesome. So for all my listeners, if you want to check out that Rise Your Purpose devotional and also Natalie's podcast and just everything that she's doing, do connect. I'll put her details in the description for you guys. And Natalie, thank you again so much for coming on the podcast.
Yes, thanks, Caitlin, for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So for all my listeners, thank you also for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, leave a review wherever you're listening from, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks so much again for tuning in to the 1 Minute Writing Tip podcast. I hope this episode gave you some great things to consider and helped you make just another shift to be able to accomplish your writing goals. If you'd like to connect further, go to wewritebooks.com or take the opportunity to get your complimentary bestseller assessment to help you finally dig into where your biggest challenges have been, map out the best next steps for you, and get my personal recommendation so that you can accomplish your writing goals. Go to wewritebooks.com/bestseller assessment, and I can't wait to connect with you further from there. Remember to like and comment below on this episode, and I will see you on the next one.